In this video, we're going to talk about the 2D line primitive, and it can be found within the built-ins tab in your GP tab or your global primitives tab. And here the 2D line, when I drag it down into the scene tree, notice over here in the render window, we don't see anything at all. We actually have to start building this 2D line with some numerical values. So up here in the 2D line editor, what we have first is a use LOD, which stands for level of detail. It's on by default, so we're going to keep that on for the moment. We also have an enable outline, which is on by default. We're just going to leave that one on as well. Below this, we have a width, and this will allow us to adjust the width of our 2D line. But since we don't see anything yet, we actually have to come down here into our point values and start adding some numerical values in here. And when we add numerical values in here, what we need to take into account is an X value and a Y value. So I entered two zeros here. 1 0 for the X, 1 0 for the Y. So that's one set of numerical values. And after that, you just hit the colon button, hit space, and what we'll do is start increasing each value by 10. So I'm going to increase my next line point here by 10. And let's also make the Y 10. We're going to hit the colon button, and then we'll go up 20 for the next one, and how about down to 10. And as we keep going here and entering our values, you can see that our line begins to build. So we're going to add 20 for that one. We'll hit colon. We'll keep going here by adding multiples of 10 for the X. So let's take that one up to 40. We'll take the Y down to 10. We'll add colon. We'll take the next X point up to 50 and the Y point to a random number of 30 maybe. We'll hit the colon. Now we'll take another X point up to 60, and let's go back down to 10 and hit the colon. So you can see here how it's starting to build our 2D line. If we need to manipulate this, such as the scaling or the position, then we just need to come over to the transformation editor here and position this where we want it, scale it up to how we want it. If we go back into the 2D line, what we do have again is this use LOD, and this is basically the level of detail. Now notice we have this enable outline, which is on by default. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. Then I'm going to go into my built-ins, into my global folders, and I'm going to add the expert onto this 2D line. I'm going to come into my expert, and within the expert we're allowed to make certain objects or 2D objects outline or wireframe. So within the expert I have this outline button here, and I turn that on, and in theory what it should do is actually outline this line. But because the 2D line has its own enable outline on, I need to come back into the 2D line and say enable outline. So I can turn that on, and now we have an outlined 2D line here. But this will only work if you have your expert on it and your outline selected. So I'm just going to delete my expert for a second, and we'll go back into the 2D line. Now we also have this thing called width, so we can adjust the width as well. And as you adjust the width, you can see what's happening here, that it allows you to adjust the width of the line. So if we go and add this expert back again, and we'll turn on outline, come back into our 2D line and adjust our width values that way, you can see how it adjusts it now with the outline on.